I'm Rosie Radiant. I want to tell you how I manifested a BMW and have never paid a penny to drive it. So what I did was I visualized having the BMW that I wanted, which was a BMW 428i coupe. And I imagined all this when I was living at my parents' house after graduating law school, studying for the bar exam. And in that area where my parents lived in North Carolina, it was kind of rural. We called it the farm because it was kind of farmland. And there was no public transportation, it wasn't a city, and I really wanted a car. I was stranded at my parents' house, so I figured I would visualize and dream about having a car, because a car would be my savior to have freedom and go about, to go exercise, go walk in the forest, go to nature parks, do this and that, whatever I needed to do. So I visualized a BMW 428, and I visualized having it, and by visualizing it and not thinking from it, I saw a lot of BMWs in my life. I even had a BMW 428i in white come into my driveway one day, surprisingly, and it was my mom's friends, Leslie and Rita, who were contemplating getting that same vehicle, and they took the car for a spin to show my mom the car and show me the car. So that was really cool, but I learned, okay, if I want to manifest it, excuse me, gotta stay hydrated. If I want to manifest the vehicle for myself, I have to be in the vehicle, I have to be in the BMW 428i, and I have to be feeling the steering wheel, looking at myself in the rearview mirror, and driving it. So that's exactly what I did. I got full of the feeling of driving the BMW. In my mind's eye, I closed my eyes and I imagined that I was in the car, in the driver's seat, driving it. And I did it with the feeling of, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful I manifested this car, this is amazing, I love it. And I love that I drive it without having to worry about any payments of any kind. Without having to pay for insurance, without having to pay for the lease or buying the vehicle or whatever. Just I'm driving it free and clear. I'm so happy. It's so awesome. And in my mind's eye, I imagined I could feel the steering wheel. So you know the notches or the stitching in the leather steering wheel or whatnot. You feel it in your hands with your imaginary hands in your mind's eye. You feel that steering wheel, and you look at that logo. So for me, I looked in my mind's eye. From my inner eyes, I imagine looking out and down at the BMW steering wheel, seeing that BMW logo, and doing that. And then I also imagine looking at myself in the rear view mirror and checking out, you know, my eye makeup or whatever, and looking in the rear view mirror and driving the car. And I imagine that, and I imagine looking around at the passenger seat and seeing that beautiful supple leather that I wanted. And I was undecided whether or not I wanted a black BMW 428i or a white BMW 428i, so I kind of just left that up to imagination. But I knew the steering wheel was black based on looking at YouTube perspective point of view videos driving new cars, which is great. So if you've never been in the car that you want, I suggest you either go to the dealership to test drive the car, or if you want to just get a perspective now, go on YouTube, and people make a lot of videos of driving all sorts of cars, so you can definitely find the car you want and get that point of view perspective of what the inside of the vehicle looks like. So you could also create a scene like using your imaginary senses. You could smell that new car smell, so you know what that's like when you get a new car at the dealership and it has a new car scent. So imagine you're in the car and you're smelling the new car smell, and it's so great and you're so happy and you love your car and you're driving it free and clear. Get full of the feeling. You can get excited about it. So drive that car in your imagination and love it, because you're gonna love your dream car. I know I loved having a BMW in my imagination, and I got full of the feeling and I was driving it, and it was so great because I was coming from the perspective of I just graduated law school. I'd done public interest environmental law internships, which didn't pay anything. I was living at my parents' house. I hadn't been working. I was studying for the bar. I had no money or no means to go and get like some sort of job at the time. I was studying for the bar exam. So for me to dream of having a BMW is utterly absurd, right? Like, according to reason and logic, how the hell, how the heaven could I get a BMW when I was without any funds or any hope of funds or anything to get a BMW? Not even just like a Toyota, but a BMW. So in my mind's eye, I imagined I was driving it and I got full of the feeling. Don't limit yourself based on resources. Simply get into your car, and maybe a Bentley might take more time to harvest from seed time, but this BMW took some time to manifest. So after I'd visualized driving the BMW and got full of the feeling, seeing that BMW logo in my mind's eye from the perspective of me in the driver's seat and holding the steering wheel and feeling that soft leather steering wheel and looking around at the BMW. So in my mind's eye, I was in the car, in the driver's seat, my eyes are closed so that I can remember what I did. And then I looked over in my imaginary eyes to the right and I saw the passenger seat. And I imagined like my purse there. And I let that drop, and then without telling my boyfriend at the time, circumstances led him to go, and without telling me at all, without mentioning any kind of car that he wanted or anything like that, and I never once told him I wanted a BMW or anything. So he didn't outright gift it to me, but I will tell you what happened. You can't outline the ways and means. It's like, oh, Rosie, like, how am I gonna get the money to get a car when I can't even get to the public transportation to go and like apply for a job to get the money to possibly get a car? Don't outline the ways. You could have an uncle or something, or a friend, a family friend who has the car that you want, and they're suddenly called to do an international work project, and then they say like, hey, can you drive my car and make sure it's running okay so the engine doesn't die or whatever happens to cars when you don't use them. So that, that's one potential way. In my case, what happened was my boyfriend at the time, we were gonna go on a road trip to Charleston, and he lived in the city part of Charlotte where I was living at the time, and he didn't really need a car, and he was just borrowing his friend's car. I said to him, like, I don't want to drive that car down to Charleston. It seems unsafe. So he went, and he didn't tell me anything, or didn't give notice or any indication that he would go, and he just showed up with the BMW black 428i coupe that day. He went and got a car before a road trip, which was amazing. It was the exact car of my dreams. 428i, beautiful supple leather, and all of that, like just the car that I envisioned. So I didn't get the car outright. I'll tell you what happened. And of course there was a learning lesson for me in this manifestation as well, which I will share. So then that was in April. And then it was 1 year and 4 months later that he got called to go to San Francisco for a new job opportunity. And the lease was still on his BMW, and he gave the BMW to me to drive while he was there in San Francisco, because he didn't need a car there and it was impractical to bring the BMW there. So I've been driving that BMW free and clear. He's paid the insurance, he's paid for all the payments associated with the car, and I've never had to worry about anything of that nature. So I've been driving this BMW 428i free and clear for over a year now, and it's been amazing. I've loved it, and I'm grateful every single day that I've been blessed to have this BMW. So in the future, of course, I wouldn't want to have my relationship suddenly become long distance just so I could get a BMW. So in the future, if I want a car, I would imagine that, well, I didn't know that the BMW would come in this channel, but you could imagine, if you don't want to be taken away from someone, that you're driving in the car with them and they're still living with you in the same city. So that's how I manifested the BMW 428i. I'm so blessed to drive it. I love it so much. And I wanted to share with you how you too could get it, because my situation was utterly impractical for me to desire a BMW or even a car, because according to reason and logic, it would be utterly impossible for me to get. So the facts that confront you now will dissolve once you operate this visualization power that we have to create our own realities. So pick out the car you want that you feel like is a stretch, but not a super wild stretch, like maybe a Lamborghini or something, because maybe you'll have a subconscious block that you can't get such a car. But I planted the visualization seed and I let it go, and it came to pass sometime later. So you don't know how long it'll take between seed time and harvest, between the imaginal act and the realized fact. So when you plant a seed, like a basil seed or something, it might take 3 weeks to sprout, I think. Or a chicken, about 21 days for the egg to hatch. Baby human, 9 months or so. So you don't know how long it's going to take between your imagined act and its realization in the world. So remember, we are the operant power. It doesn't apply itself. You must visualize that you are in the car you want. Get full of the feeling, feel that joy, feel that love, and you will get it. So just have the faith and confidence. It is done unto you as you believe, according to your faith. And you have faith and confidence that when you put a seed in the ground, that it's going to come grow after its kind. So it's the same in the thought world. whatever we sow with feeling, because feeling is the fuel that gets the blessing of what we want. So the reason we visualize is so that we get full of the feeling, to generate that emotion and excitement, then we let it drop. And the goal is to dream and visualize to the point of feeling so much joy and pleasure that it's so intense it goes out and like you don't have the desire to visualize it again because you got so full of the feeling. Neville Goddard relates this and calls it a psychic sexual act as a male. Like once it's done, they don't have the desire to do it again. So you're satisfied, you visualize to the point of emotional ecstasy, you could say, that you have what you want now, and then you let it drop. You let it go and go your way, and you'll be compelled to go across a series of events, or other people will be compelled to help you, and you'll get what you want. So my friend, may you be radiantly happy and prosperous in all your ways. Enjoy visualizing your dream vehicle, and take care. Enjoy that. Bye. Bye.